Awesome, awesome, awesome. As you guys are rolling in, we'll give everyone a minute or so, a couple moments or so to roll in, and we'll get started with this week's session. Well, hello and welcome. My name is Robert, and you are part of Summer is Open here at the Sousa Rancher community. This is a now 8-week series, and we are in week 6 of that 8-week series. And this week, we're excited to talk about Epinio, and we have 2 very special guests. One who hails from Greece and one who hails from Portland, which to me are on both the other side of the world, which is great. My first guest is Dimitri Karakalisis. Did I say that right? So I probably butchered it. He'll correct me in a moment. Dimitri's a software developer here at Sousa. He spent the last 4 years working on Kubernetes and Cloud Foundry, and most recently on Epinio itself. Open source is where he feels at home. He's a dad, he's a runner, a musician, goes by some other names that he goes by. My other guest is Andrew Gracey. Andrew is no stranger to the community. I might have replaced him in his former life. He is a product manager here of developer experience at Sousa. He's been building applications on Kubernetes for a little over 5 years, mostly focused on front-end development. Before that, he spends his free time is mountain biking and playing guitar. If you can't notice in the background, he has a couple of them behind him. But gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for being here. Dimitri, you're Greek, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Epinio is a Greek word. We can hear you.
There you go.
Yeah, we can hear you. Epinio is a Greek word. Did you name it? And what does Epinio actually mean?
I had to look it up, actually. It is a Greek word, but it was Andrew's idea, and he asked me, so I had to look it up and not look stupid because Andrew knew a Greek word I didn't. So it is a Greek word, and it means, so you have 2 towns, one is next to the sea and it has a port, the other one is bigger but doesn't have a port, so the small one is the Epinio of the other one, so it serves as a port for the other bigger town or city. So that's what Epinio is, how you get access to something big, right?
Awesome, that's interesting. And Andrew, behind you have what, 4 or 5 guitars up there.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh, it depends. It really depends. I feel like for most playing, I really like the hollow body. It just gives a really nice open tone, especially paired with some delay and some reverb. You kind of get this nice atmospheric effect. That said, I grew up a metalhead, so obviously I really like my Les Paul, and it gives some really nice kind of chunky tones.
Awesome. If you can't tell, I am not sonically inclined, so half of what you said went over my head, but it's okay. I appreciate, some good solid rock and roll music as well. So I'm going to start off asking both of you, and I'll start with Dimitri. What does open mean to you, in the sense of open source? Because this series is part of our Choose Open campaign, and we want to, hear from you. What does open mean to you?
I forgot to think about it, so I have to just say what came to my mind right now. Depends on whom you are talking to, depends on their background, I think. I could be talking about just access to the code, but that's the technical side of things. When I'm saying open, it also has to do with how you use something. If it's okay for me to try things with it, can experiment, can I collaborate, can I contribute to something. So it's very important to me when I'm choosing tools to choose something which I can participate in and can help improve it, because nothing is perfect, right? Not even Epinio, obviously. Yeah, you'll see a demo later. So I think that when I build something and when I use something, I need other people to participate, because there's no way you can get it perfect yourself or with your team. So it's very important to me. I think maybe that's the most important aspect of open in my mind, that it allows collaboration, doesn't block people out. I think that's it.
Awesome. And I'll pose the same question to you, Andrew. What does open mean to you in this Choose Open campaign that we're talking about?
Yeah, so I've definitely been more of a user than a contributor through my life. So open really gives me the flexibility of when something doesn't work, or potentially wasn't documented the best, I can go and learn more about it. I can go and explore why it didn't work, how it didn't work. I can do the debugging myself and go back to the team who's actually working on it, who knows more about the code than I ever will, and say, hey, I think you have an issue and it's on this line, right? And then I can contribute back with like, hey, I think I did at least some of the triage, maybe some of the debugging, and help in that way. You can also, one of the things I really like about open source is that obviously project plans and roadmaps and where a project is going is all out in the open. So
Mhm.
I can go and say, hey, there's this, I'm having this gap right here, but I see that's on the roadmap for like 6 months from now. So I'll still going to be really happy about using this project because I know that um, it will just continue to get better.
Awesome. So we're here to talk about Epinio. What is Epinio about? Now we know it means the Greek word is like the little city that's, has a port that's the gateway to the big city. So how does that apply with Epinio?
Yeah. Yeah, so Epinio being the port means that that big city now has access to the rest of the world, right? It's all of the other big cities that have ports attached to them. Similarly, we really feel like Epinio gives the ability for any developer, regardless of what their skill level is, to be able to build applications on a Kubernetes cluster, specifically without having to learn all the intricacies of Kubernetes.
Mhm.
Um, I draw an analog to basically like when was the last time you as a developer wrote your own syscall? Right? So when was the last time you wrote assembly? Right? It was probably a while ago, right? And so
College.
yeah, yeah, same here. Um, and I was really bad at writing assembly. So Epinio is really the abstraction and kind of the gateway into Kubernetes for those of us who don't need to, or have potentially more important things to do than sit down and learn Kubernetes and manage the infrastructure. Because the operations teams are really good at that, right? There's a difference. There's opposing concerns there between
Mhm.
the developer teams and operator teams. Where
So
yeah,
so is it safe to say that our target users here are less of operators and more of the developers?
yes, yeah. So Epinio is very much a developer tool geared towards the end application developers, the people who are writing the web pages, people who are writing the tools that end users and get exposed to, like our customers' customers, right?
Sure. And
Um,
so I like to say those are the developers who are developing in the cloud, not for the cloud, right? And I wrote an
exactly.
article once about it. They write apps in the cloud. You're using your .NET, your PHP, you
Yeah.
got your build packs, those kind of
These are
guys.
the people,
Else.
yeah, and what they're looking to learn is not Kubernetes. They're looking to learn the latest Spring Boot framework. They're looking to learn. They're having to keep up with React as it moves at the speed of light. And I don't know anybody who could keep up with all the new JavaScript frameworks and all of the new Kubernetes frameworks. That would be more. That would be multiple people's jobs just by itself without even writing code, right?
That's that mythical full stack developer, right? That everyone
Yes.
wants and no one's actually seen before. I'm waiting to see one. If you guys come across that full stack developer, post it in community. Let me know. I would love to meet this individual. So,
I mean, I tried to be that and failed, right?
so where does this project fit in with other open source projects? You're tightly knitted towards Kubernetes.
Mhm.
What other projects that tie into Epinio, if any?
Yeah, so we are using open source projects as the building blocks for our developer experience.
Okay.
So for example, and really the what we're building is an API that wraps all these pieces together in a defined way, so that I mean, as with any developer tool, the developers could build it themselves. But why? When it's already built for you. So we're using Git as the source code storage inside the platform. We are using Tecton as the underlying pipeline runner. We're using Paketo build packs as the actual image build inside of that. We're using, I'm going to forget some, Demetrius. Yeah, we're using Linkerd for MTLS. Yeah. Service broker is service catalog. So all of these play together to give a fully featured developer experience.
And
Go ahead.
and all open source, correct?
Yes, they're all open source. I don't think there is a single proprietary piece in our stack, which is very nice.
Awesome. So when we look at this this project here, this feels, and I got to kind of rework and redo the challenge this week, make sure it's ready for the community. It feels very akin to the experience you get with CF Push, and I'm not going to get into the Kubernetes is better than Cloud Foundry war, but it feels very akin to that same developer experience where I don't care, I just hit a line and I'm done. Right? And is that what's the goal?
It is, yeah. So obviously SUSE has some experience with Cloud Foundry. We're part of the Cloud Foundry Foundation. And a lot of our engineers working on Epinio were previously working on Cloud Foundry, either part of our product or our upstream team. So we want to take basically the lessons learned from Cloud Foundry, both the good and the bad, pull those into Epinio, reproduce the really nice developer experience without having to reproduce the complexity, because we get the assumption that we have our Kubernetes APIs, and Kubernetes will deal with things like scheduling, networking, scaling, all of those pieces. We don't have to reinvent ourselves. The other thing is that we're not really focused about the operator experience on Epinio. We obviously have Rancher that we can tie into, and we hope that in the future Rancher and Epinio will work very nicely together, where Rancher will give you the operator experience and Epinio will give you the developer experience. And then you're back to those two teams should be talking to each other, right? DevOps, as stated, is a good thing, right? It's building empathy between your operators and your developers. And so having some tooling that allows you to do that really nicely is obviously very important.
I came from deep on the Cloud Foundry side, along doing a lot of work previous to this with the Pivotal space. And so when you talk to some of those customers, the CF push experience is sacred. And now seeing that Epinio is following suit to maintain that CF push, this is what makes Epinio very exciting for me. And as I'm talking to former friends, or actually friends who are former customers, and I say, this is coming, and it's keeping that CF push experience, and that's still held sacred with Epinio. It's going to make the developer lives easier, and it abstracts everything else from that. So there's some excitement in those ranks, because the last thing these developers want to do is be a Kubernetes expert.
Right. Well, and it's really funny because at least a kind of boring demo, because it's like it's one command. But that simplicity is so nice, because you don't have to learn it, right? From purely a business perspective, if you have to teach your developers, say you've got 10,000 developers, if you have to spend 8 hours teaching them something, that's a lot of time, and that's a lot of money that you're spending for somebody to learn something. So the less somebody has to learn to use your product to the fullest extent, the better, right? So that simplicity is very valuable to us, and we hope that that's valuable to our customers and our users.
And what we learn about, anytime you learn something and the speed of change, it has to be reinforced. I have 2 little kids. Learning is just a consistent, so it might be 8 hours up front, but it's another hour here, another hour there, versus just abstract it away and let me just do my job.
Right.
So as Epinio is coming up in about how many, obviously we're at version 0.021 right now. I think 2.0 is what I was playing with, but we went up a slight version right there. I don't think there's any current customers using it, and I could be mistaken, but I wanted to check.
Well, we do have some customers who are trying it out. Obviously, we're very much in the early stages. We hope to have a project beta type thing in the next month or so. And then we're looking at maybe going and taking it to a product sometime next year. That obviously depends on how many GitHub stars we get.
Yeah, we will talk about the GitHub stars later in the talk, folks. But staff contributors, I know you have yourself, you have Dimitri. How many does Epinio have currently?
I'm gonna let Dimitri answer that. I think we just got a few more.
Committers? Well, I haven't checked recently. It must be around 10 people, maybe with a couple of external contributors we had recently.
So we have 10 staff and a couple, maybe 3 or 4 external community contributors as well?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's not exactly 3. I don't know. Maybe 2. I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So before we get to the demo, I got one last question for you guys. What are some of the features you guys are currently working on? Now, I have, inside, I could see it. I'm in your Slack channel, so I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But what are some of the features that we're currently working on for the Epinio project?
I can answer that. So we release weekly, so we change priorities sometimes every week, but mainly what we are trying to add now is support for multiple users. Right now, Epinio only has 1 user, and that user can do anything in Epinio. We are trying to add multiple users. Well, those users will still be able to do everything. There will be no roles initially, but at least you will be able to tell who did what. That's our main focus for the beta addition, and some smaller things like caching for staging. So next time if you push a Rails app the first time, because it's doing bundle install, I'm gonna show that actually, and you'll see this in the demo. It takes more than 5 minutes, but next time it should be a lot faster if you had the gems cast. So these are things we are working on to improve subsequent pushes and such, and a lot of bug fixing.
Okay. Well, with that being said, how about a demo? You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
we can try. Let me share my screen.
We'll see if your network holds out.
Yeah, I'm on 4G and I'm inside a VM, so it's very fragile right now. I'm not moving a lot. Can you see my screen?
It just came up, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can I send this down? Anyway, that also works. Okay, let me explain my setup a bit. Although I'm on Windows, you can see the whole screen, right? Everything. So although I'm in Windows now, I'm SSH'd to a Linux box because when I started with the demo, we didn't have the latest release in, I think, and I wasn't sure about how well it would work on Windows. So anyway, this is a Linux machine I'm SSH'd into, and here I'm gonna show you. I mean, we can change. If you want to see something, just tell me. We can try various stuff. But before we try things that will break and I didn't prepare for, I'll show you what I prepared. So I have a Rails application, and I'm going to try to push it. So my cluster, my Kubernetes cluster, is running on DigitalOcean. I had free credits there, so I just thought about spending them. So I have a cluster running in DigitalOcean here with 3 nodes, I think. And my Jambox is also running there to just make the connection between them better. And I'm also going to use a database from DigitalOcean as well. So I created a Postgres database just to save some time. So I have already created the database, but nothing on Epinio yet. So I'm going to show you how it all feels and how it all works from the Epinio side. So these are all things you can do on your own, on your favorite public cloud provider. Create a cluster, get access to it, get a database and things like that. Okay. So here on what on earth? Okay, it's a bit slow. So here is my cluster. This tool, if you don't know that, it's called K9s. It's a very nice tool to navigate to the various Kubernetes resources. So I'm going to use it here for this demo to easily show you what's going on. So these are my namespaces. I already have Epinio installed. Again, I wanted to save some time, so I wanted to focus on the developer's experience and not on how you deploy Epinio. So Epinio is already running here. You can already see some of the components Andrew mentioned, like Git, Linkerd, Tecton, Traffic. These are all things Epinio installed on the cluster. So the cluster was initially empty. Okay. Okay, so I have Epinio. I have, for example, I can list my orgs. So an org is just a different name for a namespace. This one is called workspace, and if you saw here, I have a namespace called workspace. So when you create an org in Epinio, it actually is a namespace in Kubernetes. We could have named it namespace, I think. Okay, so this directory here that I have is what you get when you run Rails new, for example, my app and database PostgreSQL. So if you did that, that's what I did actually, and I created this directory here with a couple of additions. So I did two more things. One is the proc file. You may be familiar with proc files if you deploy on Heroku or Cloud Foundry. So this one is telling the build pack what the command should be. So I crafted a command here that prepares the database every time if it's not already there, and then runs the Puma server and serving your Rails app. This is one addition I made to the default thing you got from Rails new. And the other addition is this, the config database. So the way I'm planning to talk to the PostgreSQL database is by reading files, and I explain how this works. These are files Epinio will create for me when I bind my service to my app. So let's first start by creating a service, okay? I'll show you that I don't have any services here. So I'm going to service create. So there are two types of services in Epinio, the brokered ones, which you get through a service broker, if you enable one, which I haven't done here, and the custom ones. So the custom service is an arbitrary set of keys and values. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna name it my DB. Remember this name? It was part of the path to the files I showed. I will show that again in a sec. So I need the keys. So these are the details to connect to the database, right? So I'm gonna say username do admin. Maybe I can simply go back and no, let's okay. Service, it's in the history. Okay, so it's something like do admin. The password is probably different this time. It was a previous experiment. Let me copy. So this is Windows. Can I paste on Windows? Maybe this will work. Yep, it did. My host is different, so copy. I wanted this to be a live demo, so bear with me. The port is the same, the database is the same. I hope I don't have any typos, otherwise the demo will break. So I'm creating a service here, and that's it, because you didn't have to provision anything, right? It just created a secret internally in Kubernetes and stored the details. So if I do services list now, you can see I have a service which is not bound to any applications. Obviously, I don't have anything pushed yet. So I'm going to create an app, apps create my app. The reason I'm creating an app, so I didn't push the code. I just pushed an app, and it already Epinio tells me I don't have a workload. I didn't really push anything. The reason for doing that is because Rails is special. It can't deploy itself unless it has the Rails master key somehow. So if you don't know how Rails works, it has a config credentials file, which is an encrypted file. And in order to decrypt that, Rails needs this master key. So what you usually do in software as a service platforms is you specify envars for things like that, secrets and such. So I created an empty app, and I'm going to set that with a command like this. So it's Epinio app env from environment set. This is the app name, and now this is my environment variable. It's going to be called Rails master key, and I'm reading from config master key, and there it is. So if I do Epinio apps and list, I think there is a command like that. No, there is no such command. Yeah, list and my app. Yeah, there it is in plain text. Okay, this is already done. So Rails has a database now. There is a service with pointing to a database. There is the Rails master key. So all I got to do is push the code, and I'm gonna do that now. Epinio, sorry, Epinio push. Oh, whatever. Okay, Epinio push my app and bind my DB. So I'm binding the service in one step. So I'm pushing the code and binding the service in one step. It prompts me, I'm hitting enter. Okay, this is gonna take a while, and as I explained, this is taking a while because first of all, there is no cache anyway, but it's the first push. Even if I had cache, it wouldn't be used. So it has to do bundle install and things like that. So while this is happening, let me explain what is going on behind the scenes, and you can already ask me some questions if you think something is not clear. But let me tell you a bit what is going to happen. So like Andrew said, staging happens with build packs. If you don't know what build packs are, I would suggest you go to buildpacks.io and read there, because this is exactly what we are using. We're using the Upstream project directly, and it has support for various languages, various programming languages. So this is the good thing when you reuse existing projects with dedicated teams, that you get things for free. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So the staging happened. So the first thing that Epinio does is it wraps your code in a tarball and uploads that to the Epinio server, which is running inside the cluster. There is a component of Epinio running inside the cluster, and from there on, a pipeline is triggered, which runs the build packs. And all the things you see here are build pack output. This is what the build pack does, detecting your language and dependencies of your application. Now it's the point where it stacks because it's doing bundle install. As you saw, I didn't have to define any of these. I didn't tell it how to build my app or anything. The outcome, the final result, the artifact of this process is a container image. This image is stored on Epinio, on another Epinio component, which is a Docker registry. So we deploy a registry, an internal one, and we store the artifacts there. Other than that, so you have an image, but that's not enough to run something in Kubernetes, right? So it's all the other things you will have to know how to do, like how do I create an ingress? How do I create a deployment? How do I set up certificates? How can I create a certificate, a production one, for example? So actually, I don't remember which issue I used in this deployment, but Epinio gives you, when it comes to certificates, for example, since I mentioned it, Epinio gives you 2 or 3 options there. So you could use Let's Encrypt to have production level certificates signed by a known authority, or you could have private CA generated by Epinio itself, or you could bring your own CA if your company, for example, already has a CA trusted in the various workstations. You could use that one to create all your certificates, so you wouldn't have to again trust another one, a new one. So Epinio is very flexible when it comes to search. I think here I'm gonna get a Let's Encrypt one, but we'll see. I don't remember exactly. It was a couple of days back. I don't remember if I used the Let's Encrypt issuer. That's an option you have to give when you install Epinio. Yeah, and as I was saying, Epinio is going to create all the resources the application needs. Right now, with the default installation, there are only 2 things exposed in public. One is the Epinio server itself, which actually has a dashboard, which is a proof of concept. And actually, I can try to show it to you. So I can say Epinio. No, I already have that URL. Yep. Yeah, there it is. So it's a proof of concept. We're building. Since you asked what features we're working on. We're working on a better web UI. So this was the first experiment just to show that you can build a web UI with the Epinio's API. So it's API based, but we're working on a better and more complete user interface, which will probably allow you to also push apps and things like that. So yeah, the two things that are exposed is Epinio itself. And the Epinio API, which you didn't see here, that's the web UI, but I can also go to /API/v1/info, and yeah, that's the info endpoint, but there are various endpoints to list apps and things like that. And the other thing we expose is the registry. So we don't have many things other people could access. The registry is secured by basic auth. It has credentials, so nobody can pull your images, your application images outside Epinio. And Epinio is also basic auth gated, so you need credentials to access it. I just logged in before, that's why I didn't ask me anything. So you'll see when it's done, it's going to create an ingress here. Other things I could show actually, maybe I shouldn't have chose Rails, but I wanted something that, I mean, we have sample apps that deploy a lot faster, but it's not something someone would use in production, right?
It's always good to have an app that somewhat mirrors what people are writing in production, right?
Yeah. And if you want to try things out yourself, if you go to GitHub Epinio in the Epinio org, we're building an inventory of apps we already tested and they work, and we add a README to each one to help you try that out. So what I'm actually doing here, you could try out with this example Rails app. It has instructions. These instructions are for a database that runs in your cluster. We do support that in cluster services, so it's easier to do that. But what I'm showing here is with an external database. So, but yeah, you can read the README here and try that out. And we also have, I think, the 12-factor app and WordPress, which you could try out with Epinio. And there are instructions on how to do that. Is it stuck or is it not? Yeah, I think it just takes too long to download gems. So all these things are happening on the cluster. So it's, yeah.
So while that's working, Dimitri, can I ask, why build packs instead of just Docker files instead? What was the thought behind that?
Okay, the way build packs work allow you to focus only on the part of the code you wrote and your vulnerabilities, and you can actually restage automatically. It doesn't do that yet, so you could automatically restage your apps or base them on top of an updated image. So if there's a security vulnerability coming appeared for your base image, you could have automated fixes for that. It's not yet there in Epinio, but it allows that. Also, it's magical. I mean, you saw I didn't have to build a Docker file. I didn't have to know even how to deploy a Rails app in production. So it's the magic it has, right?
It also allows you to give some outside governance into how your applications are built. So if you're working in potentially more secure environments or more confidential environment, you can say applications built with Epinio have to conform to these specs, right? And so anything that goes through the build pipeline can be built in a more custom way and in a way that is governed by a security and compliance team, for example. And then the developers don't have to worry about that.
I haven't tried it. Do you guys support multiple build packs? That was a huge feature in Cloud Foundry when you can just, I need these two, and compliance had one on top of it.
Yes. So build packs in Kubernetes actually do multi-build pack by default. And build packs, all of your build packs get built into what's it called a bundle, or sorry, a builder image. And then we allow you to
Yeah.
bring your own builder image as well. So you as a developer or you as a team of developers could build a builder image that has your custom build packs in it. It's abstractions on abstractions, but
Always
Yeah,
gives
exactly.
you.
So you can already see in the output that it somewhere here it says participating build packs. So it tries to figure out what build packs it has to pull in based on the files it sees and things like that. And this is the builder image we use, which is the upstream, and it has all the build packs that are supported, all the Paketo build packs. And by the way, it was done just when I scroll in Tmax, it doesn't automatically scroll down, so it wasn't stuck. So yeah, the app is there. Let me actually try to access it. Okay. Yeah, of course, it's not the default Rails app. Sorry, I had to add a controller and a view in order to show this. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, if you have the default Rails app, there is no endpoint, there is no root endpoint, so you'll see nothing. It's a 404, but I had to add a controller and such. But you see it's running, and like I said, I have a deployment here running in the workspace namespace. I have an ingress for my application, and obviously I have a service and everything that needs Kubernetes needs in order to expose that for you. And I also have, sorry, not that, I also have a certificate which is valid, and I would like to show you that it's
Are we losing Demetrius?
I think we might have.
Oh no. Give a... Yeah, the demo gods were blessing us up until this point.
So
maybe
so until then. Here, do you want to stop your camera? Give yourself a little bit more.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Dimitri's having some internet difficult challenges. He's out of Greece right now, so he's on 4G. So hopefully we can get him back here in a minute. We'll give him a moment to breathe. That being said, I have a question real quick. This is an amazing demo. It was a quick, simple, took a little bit longer for the average developer. This could potentially be in a pipeline, correct? So they can check their code in, Jenkins can pick it up and do the rest, and they don't really care anymore at this point.
Yeah. So the goal of Epinio is that it's kind of the core engine doing the builds and all of the publishing, right? And so as a developer's inner cycle, right, their constant iterative piece where they're just trying things, we would expect that you would probably use Epinio push yourself as a developer. But that said, when you do check it into Git, you can use the Epinio container because and it looks like Demetrius just dropped, but you can use the Epinio container that is being built for the server because it's just one binary, and you can put that inside of your CI/CD. There's a lot of places that are doing that with Cloud Foundry, so we expect that you could do a very similar workflow with Epinio. You can also use a feature called Git Job that is part of Rancher's Fleet project that allows you to do basically a pull-based model. So you can have when something in Git changes, your Git job could kick off, know that something changed, do the Epinio push, potentially probably Git clone, and then Epinio push to be able to match that pull-based model to Epinio's push-based model. So you can kind of bridge the two worlds that way as well. When we have a more fully featured user interface, We expect that we will have some features to make that a little bit easier as well. For our Cloud Foundry users, we had it's the same team that's building our UI that was building Stratos, which was a very nice UI on top of Cloud Foundry. So we hope that we can pull some of those features that customers really liked into this new model.
So we've talked about a lot of our other projects and products that we're working on integrating. Epinio really doesn't need to have those projects per se, but it really just needs a CNCF certified Kubernetes cluster. Is that correct?
That is correct. I don't know the minimum version. I would imagine once you get older than 116, I would expect things to start breaking. It does install a Trafic ingress if you don't already have one. However, if you're installing it to say K3S, it will use the Trafic that's there already.
Okay.
Going forward, I took a look, but we didn't actually run it. I don't believe we're using any of the APIs that are getting removed in 122, so there shouldn't be any issue going forward. That said, being that it has just released, we haven't tested it yet on 122.
Got it. Now I see we have Demetrius back. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm on 4G and I had my phone there just to have good reception, and my daughter found it and brought it in because she thought I forgot it there. Anyway, sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. I was talking on my, I was talking on my own. Did you see Rails running, or was I gone?
You were gone, so we can make you a presenter again and let you finish out the demo.
We saw that the application was running. Yeah, we got to hear, but you were about to start talking about the certificate that it built.
Yeah, I was trying to click here and show you that it's a let's encrypt one. Yeah, there it is. So I have a production level certificate without doing anything. I think it's very important because even me, when I had to deploy, and still when I have to deploy an application on Kubernetes, that's one of the things I find more confusing. Setting up a cert manager, and then what do I have to create? What kind of resources? So it's very complicated by definition to get it working. Even if you know, I mean, you don't always remember the steps. So I got this for free. I got everything for free actually. So I think that's the value. That's the main thing Epinio is supposed to do. So you get that with other platforms as service solutions, but what we're trying to do here is be as Kubernetes native as possible, but hide the complexity. So I can still jump with my favorite Kubernetes tools like K9s, kubectl. I can still use those to debug and check what's going on. But if I don't want to, I don't have to, right?
So one of the things that you just said there is, you got the certificate for free. If Epinio just did that, I would be happy with it because it's one of the most, it's my biggest personal pain point when doing anything in Kubernetes is the certificates, and I just lose my mind with having to manage that. And that's coming out of the box and being part of what Epinio does, is a tremendous value add, especially to individuals who really shouldn't. I don't want to worry about it. And there's times I don't want to worry about it. I want to worry about the code that I'm writing, not the certificate and why I'm getting a certificate error.
Yep, exactly. And a couple of things Andrew mentioned was the builder image. So you can push with a custom builder image. Right now you have to specify that with every push, but we'll improve on that soon. But you can use your own build packs this way. You can push a Docker image. You asked why didn't we use a Docker file? Let's say you prefer to do Docker files instead. You can still push your pre-built image with Epinio with this. Of course, it could detect your Docker file as well, but it's not doing that right now. But you have more than one ways to deploy an app. You can also push with Git. So if you have an application running on a repository somehow, you don't have to upload the code. For now, there is no authentication happening, so it has to be a public one. But we're slowly adding more ways and try to be more flexible with how you specify where your sources are and what exactly you want to deploy and what build packs to use. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at time. I'd like to get to some of the community members' questions, if you two don't mind.
Sure.
Fire away.
Awesome. So first question is coming in from Dwayne Sims. Is Cloud Foundry build pack the same as Epinio? And I think that's 100% yes there. I don't think there's a big difference. I think you guys
actually they aren't. So
wow,
there's a project
really?
called Cloud Native Build Packs that I believe actually might have started, and I could be wrong in my history here, but I think started as Cloud Foundry Build Packs v3. But they were basically pulling in a while ago. There was kind of a split between Heroku build packs and Cloud Foundry build packs. They went a little bit different directions in how they implemented things. And Cloud Native build packs are pulling the best of both worlds back together. There's a little bit of difference in how, so instead of Cloud Foundry had a detect script, supply script, build script, and finalize script. Instead, Cloud Native build packs really just have the detect and build script. And the build script rolls in, should, when done correctly, roll in the supply and finalize into it all. So it's simplifying quite a bit, with the intention that you're running multiple of these in sequence.
So we know we have 10 or so contributors. If you guys had unlimited contributors to this project and millions and millions of people in here, what would be one of the 1, 2, or 3 features that you guys would want to jump on to make sure to take this project to that next level?
Demetrius, do you want to go first? I have a laundry list.
I'm already thinking that it's impossible to manage so many contributors, so I can't think of a feature right now. But if it was manageable, I think we would focus on a user interface. And actually, I would even build a terminal UI because I love those. I don't have time to build one, but I love those. And there's so many features in Andrew's list that we have to implement that. Andrew, I mean, you should start ordering, yeah.
I think probably top of my list. I think there's 2 things. One is Visual Studio Code plugin, and especially the ability to use the Visual Studio Code plugin in Coder or Code Server, so that you can have a fully browser-based developer experience.
That was actually a user's a community member's question. It's like, are you going to integrate with VS Code? So you're right ahead of that.
While I'm talking, I will pull up a little demo on my side. So hold on.
Do I need to make you presenter?
Okay, cool. No, we're good. So yes, I think my second request is a fairly broad request. Customizability, right? The more kind of integration points where we can keep Epinio being a very relatively small and minimal component, but then give things like webhooks and integration points, so that more people can build on top of it and into it, and kind of take Epinio kind of as the core piece, and then give ways that you can kind of give a marketplace around that. Is on my list, but it's somewhat lower than obviously getting it to work and QA and going to market.
So that was Tom's question. Is there plans to have a marketplace similar to how we had in like Cloud Foundry, or Pivotal Cloud Foundry for that matter, where you can, I need a database or I need that?
There actually is. So that exists already. We have Demetrius mentioned it, but didn't show it. We do have the in-cluster services, and we can integrate with any open service broker. And so there's a couple commands. There's a Epinio services list plans, I think, or list classes, that would do very much the same as Cloud Foundry Marketplace or CF Marketplace. and it would list all of the classes
wasn't-
of services.
That wasn't in the UI just yet, right?
No, it is not in the UI. That is
Gotcha.
on the list.
Okay. All right, guys. Any more questions? Let me look at my question list here. Nobody. You guys got these two high-powered individuals here.
And I was trying to pull up a demo, which does not seem to be working. So I need to go and figure out why my demo's not working. But you definitely can use Epinio inside of Code Server. Through its integrated terminal is obviously the very basic way of doing the integration. And then a next level would be adding some Epinio commands into your task.json file. Again, those would be manual things for people that they can set up themselves. If we built a plugin, we would be able to actually extend Visual Studio code with a little bit of some listing of applications, listing of services, right, and give some nice UI elements there as well. That is on my wish list.
Awesome. So Rohitan, actually, he's asking, what's the future work schedule for this look like? I think there's in GitHub, you guys actually have that roadmap already lined out. Is that correct?
There's
yeah, I can share a link. How do you share a link? Go ahead. I have a little lag here.
Oh, you were going to share a link with it? It's
Yeah, I wanted to say, if you go to so we have how's it called, a GitHub project on GitHub, the Epinio repo, and that's where all the planning happens. You can see what we're currently working on and what's coming next. And it would be nice if people could comment on issues. I mean, if someone thinks something is more important than what we planned, please say so. So depending on what people need, we can change priorities. We're open to that. And we actually like to see what people try to do with Epinio, and that's certainly a priority. If people try to do something that doesn't work instead of doing something we think people will do, right? So please go ahead and comment on issues, ask for stuff.
So that
You're
being
very
said,
welcome there.
Yeah, let me make this gentleman a presenter real quick, actually. And we'll just actually bring this up now. So this is our call to action, everybody. Through the summer is open. Some of the things Demetrius was talking about is, how to get involved. And so it's a great transition for that. This project, along with every other project we've done through summer is open. Everything is open source. You can see everything that everyone's doing on GitHub. And we ask you and actually invite you to, join us in being part of this community and, making Epinio better. So obviously some of the things that you can do is download, use, install, and provide some feedback with Epinio, right? Help them understand some of those use cases. Now, I know Dwayne had a question there. Are there going to be other tutorials? We are building that out right now. The more we understand that tutorials are coming, that there's a higher rate of adoption, right? So those are coming. I know that they're working on some. I've worked on one. It's part of our challenge, which I'll release later today. But if you'd like Epinio, give us a star on GitHub. You can contribute to the open source code if you'd like, or you can contribute in your own way. The feedback is really, really super important because sometimes these guys can't see the forest through the trees. If you find an issue, log it in GitHub. You can find out more with Epinio.io. You can join us on our Slack channel, which is a great place to ask questions, along with community.susa.com. You can always find me out there. For the latest information about Epinio, you can follow Registry Labs on Twitter. Andrew's on Twitter at Gracie_Andrew. And if you want to talk to me on Twitter as well, you can see my pictures of food, my dog and my kids as well at Robert Sirk. But that being said, I want to thank both you, Dimitri and Andrew, for coming. This means a lot to us as a community. So thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, and just lastly, I'm going to throw out that we are hiring for UI, QA, and engineering. So if you want to work on this project or any of the others, definitely reach out. I believe it's SUSE.com/careers/jobs. I don't know exactly. I should have known that before I said that, but
That's, you know, I'll take it as a takeaway. When I publish
yeah.
the challenges, I will find that link. I will post it in community. So if you're interested, working on this great team with some of these great individuals, I'll have the link out there for you guys to, you know, sign up. Don't ask me for a reference. I'm still too new here, but you can list Andrew if you'd like.
Sure.
Awesome.
I'll vouch.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week. We'll be talking to the OpenSUSE team, I believe.
Awesome.
They're going to be showing us some of the cool things going on with OpenSUSE. On Thursday, we do have office hours at 1 p.m. Eastern, and that's where you have questions. We'll be here for answering them. I'm not sure if Dimitri will be there, but I'm pretty confident that Andrew will be there for the office hours this Thursday. More information will be posted at community.suse.com. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.